Hello everyone, welcome to Broadview. My name is Joseph. Now in 2001, Elon Musk proposed the concept of a Mars oasis, planning to launch a small experimental greenhouse to Mars and grow plants there. When he came up with the idea of Mars transformation and immigration in 2015, everyone said he was crazy. Now that many years have passed, Musk's Mars colonization plan is still proceeding steadily, one step at a time. Last year, he said that he planned to land a SpaceX Starship on the planet in 2024. Why does Musk love Mars so much, and what secrets are hidden there? Today we're going to talk about the Red Planet. The story begins with a photo. This photo was taken on July 25, 1976 by the US Mars probe Viking 1. It was shot in the Cydonia region on the surface of Mars. A human face appears to be in the photo, staring coldly into space. As soon as the photo was released, it attracted intense attention from the media and the public. Although NASA scientists have repeatedly emphasized that this face is a coincidence caused by the effects of lights and shadows, once the public's imagination is sparked, it's difficult to hold it back. People are simply reluctant to believe that this is a natural formation, and they have speculated that this is evidence of an ancient civilization on Mars. It's thought that just like Earth's pyramids and the giant stone sculptures of Easter Island, this huge human face is also a trace of an advanced civilization. Amidst all this speculation, at the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, NASA successfully sent other probes to investigate the face on Mars. In 2017, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, returned another high-definition photo. The high-rise camera carried by the MRO can capture the subtleties of Mars' surface from an altitude of 300 kilometers. This photo shows the so-called Martian face as more of a cracked hill. NASA took this opportunity to frantically refute all the rumors, saying that the face on Mars was an illusion caused by the shadows formed by the sun's rays on the planet's cratered surface. Whether the Martian face is really a hill is a matter of opinion, but there is no doubt that this photo sparked a series of explorations at the end of the last century. In 2006, based on the Freedom of Information Act, the CIA released a top-secret document from 1984 titled Mars Exploration. This was an experiment in Project Stargate. The Stargate project was a secret American research project in the supernatural field. Those in the project firmly believed that such superpowers as remote viewing and predicting the future are innate to human beings, and that they could be restored with a certain degree of training. The powers could then be used for intelligence work. Sounds incredible, huh? Now, many of our viewers, I'm sure, are already familiar with this CIA project, and if you are, tell us in the comments. So the CIA began to look for all kinds of people with superpowers and had them participate in experiments. Ingo Swann was found by the CIA to be a person with remote viewing capabilities. His superpower was first confirmed in 1973. That year, Swann was invited to participate in an experiment of the remote viewing of Jupiter. In the experiment, he stated that it took him 3 minutes to reach Jupiter, and he saw some sort of halo of light around the planet. It's worth noting that even the top scientists and astronomers of the time were unaware of Jupiter's rings until the first images of Jupiter were taken by the Pioneer 10 probe in November of 1973. So in a way, Swann was the first to discover Jupiter's rings, and he since then became famous. Later in 1975, he was requested by the US military to participate in a top-secret mission to remotely view the moon. During the mission, Ingo Swann stated that he saw some structures similar to buildings and objects with glass domes on the dark side of the moon. Incredibly, Swann said that when he tried to look inside a building on the moon, he saw some humanoids who also seemed to notice that someone was watching them secretly. Swann was startled and immediately stopped the remote viewing. Because he woke up too suddenly, Swann remained in a sluggish state until the surrounding personnel asked him nervously about what he saw. Swann, coming back to his senses, asked them if there were any human colonies on the moon. When he hinted that what he saw on the moon might not have been human, the staff reluctantly replied, "Well, then what else can it be?" Because Swann's supernatural capabilities weren't limited to remote viewing, he could also see what a particular set of coordinates looked like millions of years ago. That's right, remote viewing. Another document declassified by the CIA in 2006 records Swann's remote viewing of Mars. On May 22, 1984, the CIA gave Swan a sealed envelope and told him not to open it until the experiment was over. Inside the envelope was a mission card that read, "Location Mars, time 1 million years BC." The geographical coordinates of the tasks were 40.89 degrees north latitude and 9.55 degrees west longitude. Without opening the envelope, Swan had to first use remote viewing to see what the task written on the card was without opening the envelope, and then perform remote viewing of the time and place marked on the card. At 40.89 degrees north latitude and 9.55 degrees west longitude happens to be the region of Cydonia, where the face on Mars was photographed by Viking 1 in 1976. So although NASA was frantically refuting rumors, the US government still wanted to use Swan's capabilities to confirm whether the face on Mars really was related to alien civilizations. Immediately afterwards, Swan closed his eyes and astral projected to the designated coordinates on Mars. He said that he saw a pyramid-shaped building, very tall and yellow. The staff then told him to move the timeline backwards to the time stated on the mission card and describe what happened there. The time on the mission card was 1 million years ago. Swan said he saw thick clouds and dust storms swirling around him, so he couldn't see clearly. The whole world seemed to have experienced a major geological disaster. At this time, the staff further instructed Swan to go back to before the geological disaster. Swan now said that the scene was completely different. He could see a very smooth megalithic building with smooth surfaces and some tall and thin figures wearing strange clothes. The staff then instructed him to keep to the current timeline and move the geographic location to 46.45 degrees north latitude and 353.22 degrees east longitude. He said that he saw a huge canyon that went on further than the eye could see. Swan then followed instructions and changed geographic coordinates a few times to see other places. He saw huge basins, jagged mountains, and megalithic structures with spires like pyramids, which Swan said were like shelters for storms, with multiple different rooms in them. However, there was no furniture in the rooms. They were like small hibernation pods, and the tall and thin humanoids were dying in them. Some of the creatures even fled Mars. The staff asked Swan how they escaped. Swan replied that it was in some kind of ship-shaped metal aircraft. At this time, the staff instructed Swan to follow the spacecraft to see where those people went. He said that they arrived somewhere very chaotic with volcanoes, all kinds of strange gases erupting, and all kinds of plants that they had never seen before. The surrounding environment was very unstable, like a frying pan on the fire. Those are the main contents of this classified document. There are also some incoherent parts, so maybe the original document had had some redactions and modifications. Keep in mind, to those skeptical, this is not something that we concocted. These details are written in the CIA document. On May 7, 2015, NASA's Curiosity Mars rover took this photo. It looks like a pyramid spire from ruins covered by the sand. You must know that the Egyptian pyramids and the Sphinx were also like this on Earth. It was buried beneath the desert sand and was later excavated by humans to reveal what it looks like today. So is it possible that this is the pyramid shelter of the Martian giants that Swan saw when he looked at the Mars of 1 million years ago? American plasma physicist John Brandenburg believes that at least 2 groups of advanced civilizations have appeared on Mars, and he named them the Sidonians and the Utopians. Brandenburg proposed that both Martian civilizations were destroyed by nuclear war. His theory is that the amount of xenon, 129Xe, detected in the Martian atmosphere far exceeds the level of naturally occurring xenon, which can only come from large thermonuclear explosions. In addition, abundant uranium and thorium have also been detected on the surface of Mars. These 2 elements are very good nuclear fuels. They generally exist in the form of ore on Earth, yet the probe on Mars detected extremely high concentrations of the 2 elements on the surface of Mars, indicating that a nuclear explosion was likely to have occurred there. Brandenburg's theory coincides with the description of the Martian boy Boriska. If you recall, in one of our previous videos, Boriska said that Mars' surface was inhabited in ancient times, but later, due to war, the planet's atmosphere disappeared. Without the protection of the atmosphere, the Martians eventually became extinct after repeated geological disasters, and only a very small number of survivors were forced to relocate to the central area of an underground city. Did advanced civilizations really exist, or even still exist on Mars? In July 1988, the Soviet Union launched 2 probes to Mars, Phobos 1 and Phobos 2. These were the last 2 probes launched to Mars before the disintegration of the Soviet Union, but they became a major mystery in the history of Mars exploration. They were named Phobos because their main objective was to observe one of the Mars satellites that was called Phobos. Phobos is the larger of Mars's 2 satellites with a diameter of more than 20 kilometers. The success rate of Mars probes launched during early space exploration was not high. They essentially had to send up a bunch before a single one could succeed. Why? Because the distance between Mars and Earth changes periodically, and Mars is still about 55 million kilometers away at its closest to Earth. The probe needs at least over 200 days of flight to reach Mars, so the difficulties were exceedingly high. On July 7, 1988, Phobos 1 was the first to launch. But as people feared due to a software glitch along the way, Phobos 1 quickly disappeared into the vast universe. 5 days later, Phobos 2 was launched. It was gratifying that it successfully entered the orbit of Mars on January 12, 1989, and began to work diligently, collecting data and taking many pictures of Mars's surface. After stable operation for about 2 months, Phobos 2 began to adjust its course to accompany Phobos the satellite. But unfortunately, another accident happened. On March 27, 1989, Phobos 2 suddenly lost contact with the Soviet Ground Control Center. Subsequently, the official Soviet news agency TASS released a statement that after completing a round of operations to explore Mars, Phobos 2 failed to get in touch with Earth as scheduled, and scientists at the Ground Control Center were unable to establish stable radio communication. In this way, Phobos 2 lost contact, and Soviet officials wouldn't release the exact accident investigation report. Later, under the pressure of other international collaborators of Phobos 2, the Soviet Union released the last video data taken by the probe. These images were also broadcast on some television stations in Canada and Europe, but it wasn't known at the time that the Soviet Union did not disclose all the information they had. The last few photos taken before Phobos 2 went missing were secretly cut by the Soviet government because they were so amazing. On April 7th of the same year, the British New Scientist magazine interviewed Boris Belitsky, a science reporter from Moscow radio. He said that what was photographed before the disappearance of Phobos 2 was very unusual. The object photographed was either on the surface of Mars or just in the lower atmosphere of Mars. It was 20 to 25 kilometers long in a conical shape and did not belong to any known geological structure. Then a TV program exposed such a photo, saying that it was taken by Phobos 2 on March 26, 1989. That is, the day before the loss of contact. Afterwards, there was an uproar in public opinion, claiming that Phobos 2 encountered a UFO in space, but Soviet officials have been silent on the matter. Until the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991, a large number of classified documents disappeared. This included some top-secret documents related to Phobos 2, which were brought to the United States by retired Soviet Air Force Colonel Marina Popovich. In 1991, she held a press conference at the former Soviet embassy in San Francisco, at which she released a photo of Phobos taken by Phobos 2. In the photo, you can clearly see a huge unknown cigar-shaped object floating below the satellite. Considering that the satellite has a diameter of about 20 kilometers, it is estimated that this unknown object is at least 20 kilometers long and about 1.5 kilometers wide. If this unknown object is really a UFO, then it must be at the level of an aircraft carrier. Then came April 27, 2014. The story continues as NASA's Curiosity Mars rover performed its mission as usual. Among the 128 photos it took that day, there were a set of pictures with a huge cigar-shaped UFO. The object was moving towards the surface of Mars at high speed. It's easy to find this group of photos on NASA's official website if you care to look. It is very similar to the UFO photographed by Phobos 2 shown by Marina in 1991. The American journalist and best-selling author Jim Marrs revealed another unknown fact in his book, Our Occulted History. The book says that in 1991, after Marina released the photos of the UFO taken by Phobos 2, the Russian government found 6 psychics who had served the US military and wanted them to use their remote viewing capabilities to see what actually happened to Phobos 2. The 6 remote viewers wrote a report based on what they saw, titled Enigma Penetration, Soviet Phobos 2 Spacecraft Imaged Anomaly. The report revealed that there were 2 disc-shaped objects rising from Mars and slowly approaching Phobos 2. One of the UFOs scanned Phobos 2 and the other was launched towards it. A beam of electrons disrupted communications and navigation equipment, causing Phobos 2 to lose contact. Not only that, there have always been many mysteries about Phobos, the Martian satellite. In 1958, Soviet astrophysicist Shklovsky proposed the hollow Phobos hypothesis, which was based on the peculiar operation and acceleration of the satellite. After a long study of tides, attraction, and magnetism, Shklovsky believed that no natural factor could have caused Phobos' strange location and movements. He even speculated that Phobos was a giant ship. That sounds a little weird. However, the data sent back by the European Space Agency's Mars Express orbiter did prove that Phobos is not a solid rock, but a porous object. Its porosity is as high as 30%. This indirectly shows that Shklovsky's hollow Phobos hypothesis may not be a fantasy. Baron Peter Hill Norton, former chief of the British Defence Staff and former chairman of the NATO Military Committee, once said that it's very likely we have been watched by other civilizations from outer space for many years, and that this should be a serious scientific topic worth exploring, not treated as a worthless subject that gets frequent tabloid coverage. It seems that Musk's choice to colonize Mars instead of any other planet is not groundless. What do you think are the chances of humans colonizing Mars? Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.